Wouldn't go live. So press thing says go live, and I guess we're going to go live. And it says I'm live. So hi, we must be live. Hello, good people. It's Jason here at Green Country Agroforestry, Wednesday night, 8:30 p.m. So it's time for another live stream. Hi, how's everybody doing out there? Hey, I actually moved another chair up here. I don't have anybody to join me on the show tonight, though. But I actually have enough room now for a chair next to me in front of the green screen. So I've been doing a little bit of house cleaning, trying to declutter a bit. How's everybody doing? Let's see. We got Billy from Wickshire. We've got Elton Butterfield saying good night to everyone. Carolyn's Food Forest checking in, and Vicky saying Merry belated. What is that? There was some sort of holiday going on. Oh yeah, I remember the holiday. It was called Christmas. Christmas. It's the day that you're supposed to 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 do nice things for your fellow human beings and to be a general good person and that sort of thing, right? That's what it's for. Uh, I always thought that was like baseline behavior for humans, and we're all supposed to act like that 24/7, 365 days a year. So setting one day of the year aside to be good seems like moving in the wrong direction to me. But hey, that's just my perspective. Uh, got John Pepper checking in. Sassfest Fritz saying good evening all. Billy's asked me, want to know where the heck 2023 went. I don't know. I don't know, man. I slept a couple times. Uh, mm, it flew by, didn't it? And what a crazy year it's been. I don't know about you guys. I guess I probably better ask. How many of you guys are experiencing unusual levels of productivity this late into the year? I'm going to put it this way. How are your gardens doing? Have they quit yet? Do you still have things that are going on? Is it still green out there? Is it just me, or does it seem like things are holding on longer this year, not losing their leaves the way we expected them to, not going into dormancy at the time that we thought they would? Of course, I live in Oklahoma, so it's every year is different. So I want to kind of touch base before I go off on the deep end. Billy's saying gardens fall toast did not fall plant. Okay. Hugo just says hello. John says quit because it's zone 6A. Okay, yeah. Sassbrass is in Iowa and says the weather is bollocks. Nettles are booming and the field peas are still going. Okay, the field peas are still going. That's different. John saying Ohio River Valley is always weird. Yeah. Carolyn says warmer than normal. Okay. So I've been noticing some things staying green a bit longer than really they are. I don't know. I think I mentioned this last week that about half of the prunus, half of the prunus trees are still with their leaves on, and not they've turned colors and are falling. They're still green. The almond tree in front of me. I should have gotten a picture separately of the almond tree because it's just dark green and shows no signs that the leaves are going to come off anytime soon. The thumbnail picture I provided for you, that's a chinkapin, an Allegheny chinkapin, and as you can see in the background, all the trees in the back, if you're looking at the thumbnail picture from this video, all the trees in the back are brown. All the leaves have come off. Everything's dead. That's in the woods back behind us. But here in the foreground is the area where I planted a whole bunch of stuff that wants to grow into the winter. Chinkapin is not one of those things. It's an ordinary deciduous tree, and it should have lost its leaves already. But for some reason, it's still hanging on. It'll probably lose its leaves this week. The peach tree next to it only has a couple leaves left. It's finally starting to lose them. The June plum, which I was mentioning previously, was the plum tree that had held on a little bit longer. It's starting to lose them. But the almond, no, it's hanging on like it doesn't realize that winter has arrived. And winter is now we're now past the longest night of the year. We're heading into warmer days now, longer days and warmer days. So we've passed the turning point. And there are things that just haven't realized that winter has hit yet that should. They're not evergreens. And I'm wondering why that is. And of course, on the one hand, yes, it is a little bit warmer this year than usual. But I'm starting to think that maybe there's two things going on with our zone pushing whenever we're doing things like putting in uh, cold frames, uh, high shelters, or high tunnels, low tunnels, things of that nature. There's more going on than just the above ground portion. And the thing that occurs to me is there are these plants, and here we have lots of annuals that do it, that like to grow whenever it's cold out. They like to grow all year round, but they don't seem to have a problem growing into the cold months. And that means that they're sending their roots down into the ground during the cold months. They're they're exchanging nutrients in the soil during the cold months. They're photosynthesizing during the cold months. They're putting sugars down into the soil during the cold months. Things like the purple dead nettle around here. That's one of the really big wild plants that does it. And it likes to grow in disturbed soil. We have plenty of that. But this year was the year that I decided we were going to make sure that we had more roots in the ground in the winter from living things. So we planted lots of winter wheat for an overseed crop. We planted lots of clover. Both of those are doing great. Of course, we have all those radishes. Once again, like to grow into the cold winter. The daikon radish don't seem to mind that we've had a couple solid freezes. The leaves froze. They were covered with ice. The ice melted, and they kept on growing. We now have one that's about that big around in the front yard. I'm going to leave it there and just see if it'll grow into spring, and then maybe go to seed. I want seed from that one. If it can survive all the way to the point where it goes to seed, I want seed from it. Of course, in the back we've got some daikons that have already started going to seed. We started to flower. So about a week or two ago, I started seeing the little pink and white blossoms popping up, which is kind of fun because we're borderline about to have some snow here, and so we'd have snow and flowers at the same time. It would be kind of cool, especially this early on. And snow and flowers around May, okay, that's different. But snow and flowers as we're getting ready to go into January is just weird. Well, in my experience, it's weird. But I haven't been doing this, trying to mix different things together in this way, putting in cold season annuals to keep on feeding the soil into the winter. But the thing is, part of the reason why some of these plants die off and they go dormant whenever the winter arrives is not because they're not getting enough light. I mean, that is part of it. It's not because it got too cold. That's part of it too. But also because the soil biome itself is going dormant. It's shutting down. All those life processes that are very active whenever the temperature is up, the temperature range that bacteria like to grow at, the above 45 degrees into the 50 to 55, 60-degree ranges. Bacteria love growing in those temperature ranges. They don't grow so well when it gets cold. And since they're not growing very well when it gets cold, the bacterial quotient of the soil food web is not acting. So the only thing the plants are getting is whatever free nutrients happen to be water soluble and close by the root zone. That's it. That's all they can get. So there's also a loss of food that's occurring for the plants. They don't have the light, they don't have the heat, and they're losing food out of the root zone. So there's a whole bunch of things working together that bring about that dormancy of the plant. Whenever it says, okay, I've had enough, I'm going to die, or I'm going to go dormant for now. But what if your soil biome keeps on growing into the winter? Your soil biome keeps on growing into the winter, then the food portion below ground is available to the plant. Now, if it can handle the cold, and if it can handle the amount of light that it's getting, it may not go into dormancy, or it may not die off, even though everything else ordinarily would be. So one of the reasons why we're seeing things staying green a little bit later may be because of that particular experiment. Billy said, I uproot small garden plants and bring them inside in very uncomfortable extra small planters and show them others' gardens on YouTube. you're gonna sit there and you're gonna learn. Okay, you look at the screen. Look at the screen. Okay, and you're gonna learn. Watch. See if they can do it, you can do it too. Okay. Make them do their PT. Hey, maybe that'll work. Joe's in the house. Hi, Joe. Let's see. Yay. Hey, when did you get here? You're here early. Are you sure you're Joe? Okay, we got a hyper excited cat out there. Carolyn's asking Billy what state he's in. He's in the state of confusion. Oh my gosh, I'm disappearing. You see that? I think I turned just the right way. If I turn just the right way, I disappear. It's because the shirt is somewhat green. It's a really dark green. It's very dark. I was gonna change shirts, and then I realized I didn't have time. This is a shirt that I can wear when I'm filming outside, but it doesn't go with the green screen very well. Hang on a second. I got to do this, or else I'll disappear. Confusion all the time. Like, what in the world is going on? This is crazy stuff here. All right. So this is kind of related to um, discovering that we can grow some stuff that typically we think of as being more of a warmer climate crop and grow it further north. David Goodman, David the Good, he's growing cassava in Alabama. It's a little zone or two further south than we are right now, but he's able to do it successfully. He is taking some extra precautions to make sure that the plants stay alive during the colder months, because you can't. Well, I guess he's experimenting also with leaving some in the ground too. The more of this that we do, taking things that typically we thought were only tropical plants and moving them further north and seeing if they can grow up here, the more we expand our boundaries. Some of the reason why we don't grow things is because we assume that they can't. I need a pipe, huh? Do I have one? I'm looking around like I've got one. I don't know. I've got an old vaporizer. Does that help? I don't even know if it's charged up anymore. I haven't smoked in ages, and I quit vaping a while back too. Oh, okay. It's too warm with the jacket on. I'm just gonna have to look silly with a shirt that somewhat disappears from time to time. Oi, you just need an apple. Oh, okay. Oh, to make a pipe out of it. I actually do still have some tobacco left. I've got back when I was smoking a pipe, and I do have a real proper tobacco pipe around here somewhere. I packed it away. It was one of those really nice church warden pipes, long stem. So you have the bowl down here where your hands are, and the stem's up here. And the reason they made them that way was so that you could stand watch, and you'd have the bowl of the pipe down here, so with your hands around it. It keeps your hands warm. So you're sitting here and just they're not. Well, I mean, I guess you could smoke the pipe, but mainly they're just drawing on it to keep a little fire going down here, keep their hands warm. And this was back in the day when people actually were stationed or positioned. Your post was at the church, so that whenever somebody who was in need came by, if it was off hours and late in the night, or whenever church wasn't ordinarily in session or having services, there would be someone there to render aid and comfort, because that was part of the purpose of the establishment in the first place. But anyway, so you used to have one of those pipes, but I don't have it anymore. I've got a few greenbrier roots that I've been drying that I might try to make a pipe out of. But well, I can make what I've got is a fairly small burl, and I might be able to make a few small pipe bowls out of it. But I'd have to make the stem portion separate. Now, I don't really have any use for briarwood pipes anymore, unfortunately. But if I got bored, I suppose I could go into the business of fabricating them. That might be fun. Hmm. Could be fun. I haven't gone around to look, but it's possible that we have greenbrier growing in some areas that may come up sometime in the near future. Um, I kind of I have mixed feelings about it. Right? It's it's an edible plant. It does have nutritional value. It's actually fairly tasty. But if you don't stay on top of it, picking those tender shoots off as they come, then it grows and gets out of control and becomes a pain, quite literally, to deal with. But for a vining plant, yeah, it's not bad. It gets a bad rep. Smilax, that is, greenbrier. Hattie Garden says, "Good evening. I think maybe whenever we get our box wall built, I'll make sure we include some greenbrier up on top of the box wall. That's a good place for that particular vine to grow, and maybe I can let them grow their roots to a good enough size that we can make a couple decent sized pipes out of. That might be nice." Billy says, "I hate my briars." Well, yeah, there is such a thing as too much of a good thing, right? A little briar here and there, that's not bad. A little variety to your diet. Grab those fresh tender shoots and nibble on them. Throw them in a salad. Saute them with a little bit of butter and onions and a crack of black pepper, some garlic, and an egg, and enjoy life. But if they're everywhere and in everything, and you're constantly having to deal with them, then yeah, that they're no fun. He went full leg picks of what happens to be walking through that stuff. Oh man, yeah, it's one of those plants that it takes some getting to love them. Uh, and there like I said, there's such a thing as too much of a good thing. Um, I never thought I would see myself defending greenbriers, but here I am. But you can always pick out something different instead of greenbriers, which is the point. Nature wants to grow a vining plant. So apparently you've got a lot of need for vinous, or maybe there's something else that Smilax is doing. Maybe it's something that it's doing in the soil for you. So if they're a problem, you get more than you want, then as you pull them out, you're going to have to replace them with something different. Replace them with something different. And maybe greenbrier is the best thing. Maybe that's the best plant that you can have in that particular niche. And that's the reason why you got so many. So sitting on opposite ends of the table. But the one that I pulled out recently, I think I brought it up and showed it to you. I don't know where the thing is right now. It's in the back room somewhere. A little burl about that big around, but it's not one solid piece. It's several pieces that are maybe $half size in diameter, and they're all linked together in kind of a half circle. Sassbrass saying thorny blackberries. Well, here's the thing: it doesn't necessarily have to be something thorny. The briar happens to be thorny, but maybe that's not necessarily the thing that makes it why nature wants it there. Maybe it wants it there for a different reason. Maybe. There's a need for that particular need. There's a need for something like that plant to fill that particular niche. And since nature needs something there, it picks out what it's got. It's got briars. So until you can, so whenever you can figure out what you're going to put in the same niche that the briars are in, whenever you do that, if it does better than the briars, then the briars should disappear, or at least go back to being just a one or two here and there, to the point where you go, oh wow, look, there's some greenbrier. I guess I'll have some of that and add it to my salad, and not, oh God, This place is lousy with briars and they keep on growing and coming back and I can't stop them. Oh man. Says we pulled out the root system and they ran for miles. Yeah, quite a few of them. How big are they getting, Billy? Like whenever you pull out the roots, are you getting like sizable enough roots that you can actually do something with them, or are they like too thick and like so thick and so competing for resources that they never got big? Or some from column A, some from column B? Because if you've got a lot and they have big burls, then you might have a hidden revenue stream. Yep. Handcrafted artisanal pipes. Yep. Handcrafted artisanal pipes. Something you can do with that thing that was frustrating and a chore to deal with and just a pain, right? It's kind of like, okay, Greg's got this nice place out there in Arizona. Taking a look at the soil, he's got lots of clay. Oh God, he's got so much clay. But the clay that he's got is a really good, really good clay for making pottery out of. So the fact that it's clay and sometimes clay is difficult to grow in, that's still on the minus column. But on the plus column, he's got a good quality clay that can be used for making adobe and pottery and all other kinds of wonderful stuff too. So it's like, finding that you have lots of rocks here in the Ozarks. Oh my gosh, how many rocks do we have? Well, I mean, rocks and rocky soil can be a pain if you're trying to make it with a plow and plant fields and nice little rows and everything. The rocks are horrible, but rocks are a wonderful resource. And if you're not trying to grow like a commercial farmer, using those rocks and building retaining walls and doing other fun stuff with them is great. So it all depends. Jasper is saying, will the briar roots dry and burn? No, actually, they don't burn very well at all. They're they're very lightweight and porous. They have these pores that allow them to breathe. They absorb the oils and the gases that are outgassing from your burning tobacco whenever you're using them for a tobacco pipe, right? But the briar itself doesn't burn well at all, so you can smolder your tobacco in and it won't burn up. They're cool like that. And Billy is now going to mail all of his briar roots to Sassafras. He will mail you. See, we've got an exchange going here. Here's Bermuda grass rhizomes. There you go. Now you can have a running grass, and here's briars. Enjoy. Here, let's swap weeds. Oh my. Yeah, would you like some Bermuda grass? I'll be happy to send you some. Uh, Billy said, I don't mind stuff I can chop and drop without tearing my flesh off in the process. Oh yeah, right. Yep. Um, Shastra said, I was told you can eat Bermuda rice. Yeah, I bet you can. It's it stores a bit of food in there, starches and sugars. I mean, it's hard to kill off Bermuda because it stores a lot of energy in its rhizomes. So you cover it up and you coat it, you mulch it out really thick so it can't get any sunlight at all. And then you wait, right? And the entire year goes by. You've had this deep mulch over your Bermuda grass. It's no way it could have survived that, right? You didn't see a single blade of grass popping up, maybe a little bit here and there, but you pulled it out quick. There's no chance. There's no chance it survived. And then the next year, you start to see them popping up all over the place. And then the year after, they're everywhere again because you didn't kill them all. It's it's kind of hard to kill them out with just 9 months of no sunshine. Yeah. Let's see. Vicky is saying what? A zone of difference between where she lives, between the ridge top and the ravine bottom. Yeah, I'll bet. I'll bet. Yeah, and if you're trying to stagger your plantings in waves, so you have okay, we're gonna plant a few of these, short season annuals here, and a few 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 here, and you have differing effective zones along your slope. That could be, yeah, like Sasspress, that could be advantageous for planning out, just extending your harvest season of fresh, whatever you want to harvest fresh. Pretty nice. Oh, think you put quackgrass up against Bermuda. Some people actually want Bermuda grass. The next door neighbor across the street, Larry, he likes Bermuda. He thinks it's great. Of course, now that he doesn't have geese anymore to graze it, he has to go out there with a lawnmower and mows it with a lawnmower. Poor guy. I told him he should just plant trees, and then he won't have to worry about the grass anymore. Just plant a forest over there; it'll be fine. And then he could bring his bee boxes back out and set up and raise bees again, and his bees will have shelter, and they probably won't take off on him every time the pressure drops. Because one of the biggest problems he had his beehives are on the south side of his house, which is fine. It's perfectly fine because you have lots of sunshine coming in here. It's a good position for keeping him warm into the winter. But he doesn't have any trees at all on the south side of his house, so it's completely exposed, wide open. Sash Rush 7. Bermuda probably loves that Tulsa sand. Oh yeah, and that and sticker grass. The kind that produces those little thorny clusters that stick in you with little barbs on them that you have to get a pair of pliers to yank them out of your flesh. Not goat heads. That's a different one. We have a different type. We have several different types of sticker grass here. We have your regular, ordinary, run of the mill sticker grass. It's sandbird, basically is what it's called. And then we have the goat head, which is like a sandbird, but it has fewer spines, but they're a lot stiffer and sharper and longer usually. And we get both of those. Oh. Billy's saying his goose prefers eating moss over feed. That's kind of cool. As long as you can grow the moss quickly. Right? Vicky's saying, I have a plethora of microclimates. Do I have a plethora of anything? Pinatas? No. I have a plethora of pinatas. I've got maybe one or two little microclimates. There's something going on with this almond tree. It's an all-in-one almond. It's they say the guys at Willis Orchard said it can grow in zone 7. We'll see. But surprisingly, it is still surviving there. I didn't know if it was going to make it, but it's doing okay. John says there's a lot of vitamin C in moss. I didn't know there's a lot of vitamin C in moss. Well, that's cool. We're growing moss. Does it matter what kind of moss it is? Does a different kind of moss have vitamin C? Because we've got the sphagnum moss, what people call peat moss. We got like a reindeer moss growing. Yeah. Anyway, back on topic. Yeah, there are a lot of plants that tolerate very, very cold temperatures. As long as they don't freeze solid, they can survive the cold temperatures. The problem is, of course, whenever cold weather hits, what else happens aside from the sunlight decreases, the temperature decreases? What else happens? And the thing that happens is in the soil, the life in the soil also starts to go dormant because most of your soil microbiome, the bacteria, they don't do a whole lot of life processes whenever the temperature around them drops below 40s. This is the reason why we keep our refrigerators down at those temperatures, 40 degrees and below, maybe just above freezing. Just above freezing, that's fine for preserving food because the bacteria are inhibited. They don't grow. If you're depending upon bacteria to make sure that your plants grow and the bacteria are inhibited, they aren't growing, they aren't reproducing, then your plants aren't growing either, and your plants die. So you could very well have plants that are capable of surviving the temperatures that you have going into the winter, but they're not surviving simply because they're not getting fed below the ground. And they're not getting fed because you don't have anything else living and growing. So here's the experiment for you guys to try out. This is next year's experiment. As you head into winter, as fall is arriving, look for things that like to grow into the winter in your area. Find the stuff that wants to grow and make sure you've got plenty of it. Experiment with other things that may like to grow in the winter in your area. For example, winter wheat's doing really well for us here. Start planting those in and around the areas where you would like to improve your soil, and allow your winter season to be a time that you're doing soil improvement. John's saying, would warm water help? You pretty much have to make sure that your soil is staying warmed up enough to keep the bacteria going. You'd have to keep the warm water going there constantly. And if you do have an area like a hot spring, oh wow, this would be a great part to go. And here's a video showing a hot spring in the winter. but a hot spring in the winter is exactly the sort of example where you can see things growing that ordinarily wouldn't be growing on into the winter. And part of that is because, yes, you've got a living soil microbiome going because there is enough warmth more warmth and water to keep them going. Billy says we source black walnut and hickory nuts are so good. Oh, wow. Woohoo. Vicky's bragging about her 100 acres. Oh my gosh. It sounds wonderful. It really does. And the Ozarks are a great place to be at too. The soil might be thin, but it's good where you've got it, and you can always build more. And you have plenty of rocks, which are a resource. Oh, be jealous, it's paid for. Well, you worked hard enough for it and long enough for it. I try not to be jealous. I'd rather be happy for you. All right. Let's see. So we're back on the nuts, the hickory nuts and black walnuts. Are you getting them from anybody that we know, or is it somewhere else? I love black walnuts. I really do. They're just a pain to get out of the shells. It's the only reason why I don't really get into them. You can get the English walnuts. You can get Carpathian walnuts. Carpathians take a long time to grow. A long time. But we just didn't have a lot of room here for having too much diversity, because having a walnut in your ecosystem means you do need to make some accommodations. It's not the kiss of death. You can grow lots of things around walnuts. I have an entire list of things to pair up with walnuts if you want to have walnuts. It's just simply that we wanted to have, let me put it this way. If we were going to have walnuts, we would have to make the entire ecosystem centered around the walnut. And by not having a walnut, we have more flexibility. So I can have more things, more diversity. That's the reason why we don't have it. If I had more space, then I could have this part set aside for just the walnuts. And I probably have 2 or 3 black walnut trees and maybe 2 or 3 possibly English walnuts, equal number, because I like them both for entirely different reasons. Like English walnuts are great for just prying open those shells. And sometimes you can do it. You just grab the shell and go, you pop them right apart. You get the whole shell leveraged apart. and then you have those nice, wonderful, fat rich, protein rich, just yummy nuts inside of them that you can just eat out of hand. And then the black walnuts, of course, those you're going to save for putting into your ice creams and stuff like that, and maybe put them into shortbreads and stuff, because those are just absolutely delicious. Um, but yeah, hard shells on black walnuts. Yeah, Vicky says she not only has watercress, she sent some to me. We'll see if it survived whenever spring arrives. I took it and I divided it and I put it in a couple of different places, and it's not showing any sign of being alive right now. So I'm going to cross my fingers and hope that they pop back up. If not, at some point in the future, I'll get a water circulation system going, and we could probably get it to survive that. And it may just be that keeping it in small ponds is not gonna it's not gonna be good for it. It might need to have a a more extensive ecosystem to support it, but we'll see. Let's see. John says walnut looks like brains. Yeah, yeah, and then they are actually good for brain function because they are a high fat food, and you need lots of fats to build gray matter. That's actually, oddly enough, your brain is mostly fats. So it's just the right kind of fats. You have to have the right kind of fats to make good quality brain tissue, and walnuts do provide you with good quality fats, not only for your brain but for your heart and everything else. Aw, well, maybe one of these days. We're getting close. We're getting close. Well, what we're getting close to is we're getting close to the point where I have done as much with this piece as needs to be done for it to be a good functioning uh, and hopefully mostly self-sustaining ecosystem that is productive not only for human beings but for everything else as well. If I can do that on this piece, then I'll be ready to graduate on to something bigger. Um, at the moment, though, if I'm going to go work on a larger piece of land, I'm going to need help, like physical manual labor type help. I'm not going to be able to do all that work myself. I can do some of it. I can supervise some of it, but I tell you what, a third of an acre is a lot of stuff to do with hand tools. It really is. Joe says, "First walnuts to pecans. Here in Mexico, they're called gel nuts. Nuez, nuez. Is it nuez or nuez? See if it. I'm running into a problem because in the back of my head I'm hearing Nussen because it's German. Um, Nus encarcelada. Encarcelada. I think I got encarcelada right. The nuts I'm not quite sure about. I want to say noose, but I could be wrong. Pueblo State to the south is the major producer of jail nuts. That's kind of cool. Sasspress saying you need to get white oak, but the burr and overcup are sweeter. Wait a minute. Why do I need to get white oak? Or is that just like generally speaking, in order to have a healthy functioning oak forest, you need to have white oak in it? Maybe I mixed something. Because the only oak tree I have right now is a burr. Okay, I've got some volunteer oak that's popped that occasionally pops up because the squirrels bring them over, and I don't know what kind of oak they are. They're probably a freaking, I don't know, probably some kind of post oak. Hmm. I think you're saying acorns can be leached with cold water and don't need boiling. Well, I mean, I suppose, yeah. I mean, you leach them in cold water long enough. There's some of them that got. No way. Okay, yeah. Okay. Thank you, Joe, for correcting my poor Spanish pronunciation. We're like, oh yeah, okay. That's what I get for. I don't think in Spanish. If I was thinking in Spanish, then it would probably be different. I get the pronunciation right. I don't know why. I've been able to do it with German. Been able to do it with Japanese, oddly enough, but I've never been able to think in Spanish effectively. Like start, but I don't know. Billy says these are white oak that he's got over there. Well, white oaks. If the only oak you've got is white oak, then you're doing good because white oak's a good eating nut. John asked if I know anything about catalpa trees. They grow fast. The wood is weak. They're great for biomass production because of their fast growth. They have a worm that likes to munch on them called the catalpa worm that catfish absolutely adore. Aside from that, the flowers are pretty whenever they're in bloom. Yeah, that's about it. We have a bunch of them growing around here. They you would think, right? Looking at the seed pods whenever they start to develop, how they develop like a bean. They look like a bean pod. It looks like a legume, catalpa. It looks like it. It's got that look. But you go and you dig it up and you look at the roots. You go, okay, these roots don't have any sort of there's no nodules, right? There's no indication that there's a nitrogen fixing relationship going on in the root zone with the catalpa tree. So it's got pods, looks like a legume, but doesn't serve legume function in the soil. But like I said, they grow really fast and make an excellent pioneer. If you've got land that needs to have something growing in it and catalpa's growing, then hey, great, it'll work. It will work. Biggest and Danny want to have old catalpas at Pecan Grove. We've got one. Not there. Let's see. It is hackberry, pecan, or hickory. I'm not sure which. I haven't seen it up close, but there's either hickory or pecan over here next to the hackberry. Another hackberry, black locust a little bit front from that. Massive cottonwood back over there. Much bigger sycamore there. It's on the neighbor's property and it leans over. And one day it's going to fall on top of my garage and destroy my garage. Anyway, hopefully I'll have the garage ready to be extracted and removed by then, or removed entirely, and it'll just fall in the empty spot where the garage used to be. We'll break out the chainsaw, cut it up, and I'll have lots of firewood, and we'll all laugh about it. And then I'll put a pond in where that anyway. And then right next to that is where this catalpa is, and this catalpa is about maybe that big around at the base. It's pretty big. Sorry, you can't see both arms. It's about what is that? Maybe about three and a half foot diameter. I can't quite get my arms all the way around it, but I could kind of hug it. The neighbor over there has got this really annoying yappy dog that doesn't like me for some reason, so I'm not going to walk over there and try to hug it. But it is a pretty good sized catalpa right over here. They get big. Sasquatch says down in Arkansas, copperhead snakes were always around the catalpa when the worms came on. Huh. Interesting. I wonder why. Do the snakes eat the worms? Is that it? Don't know. Yeah. Sasquatch catalpa makes good fence posts. Does it really now? Huh. And snakes do eat the worms. Okay. Well, I guess that would explain why you find the snakes around. Or yeah, I guess. Well, the snakes know that the worms are there. There's going to be food. It's one of these. It's one of those edge things, right? You've got this thing that's going on. There's an exchange of energy, and whenever there's an exchange of energy, you're going to have agents that want to be able to take advantage of that exchange of energy from one side of the equation or the other. So if you've got an abundance of a food source, worms, falling down. You might have the birds coming in for it. You might have the snakes coming in for them. The snakes may be there for the birds. And yeah, you could have king snakes are there for the snakes that are there for the birds that are there for the worms. So you could have a lot of different interactions taking place. And that's one of the reasons why, of course, we want to have lots of biodiversity, lots of different species, because the more species we have, the more edge we have, the more interactions we have, the more opportunities there are for energy exchanges to take place, which means that there's more life, more life, more life, more life, more life, even though it may not necessarily be something that we ourselves are eating. It's something that's feeding the entire ecosystem, which in turn does feed us. So those things that we look at, and I don't like this plant. It's got thorns on it. What was it doing? If it's doing something for your ecosystem and you can't replace it with something else that's going to do the same thing for your ecosystem, you may want to consider leaving it until you can replace it. Of course, if it's growing, if it's being a problem, like way too many briars, maybe there's a way you can turn that into an advantage. But I thought monoculture was good. Yeah, I'm a Joe here. I know black locust is good hardwood for furniture. I wouldn't where the catalpa could be used for furniture. I suppose I could try, but it grows so fast that I worried that I would worry. Right? Copperheads also infest berry patch when the fruit is ripe. Well, the ripe fruit is going to be attracting potentially prey for the snake. Yep. Oh yeah, I'll bet. Chickens go to town on snakes. Yeah, if you have pigs, those will get rid of snakes quick too. That's right. Never worked catalpa. Yeah. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how maybe the older tree turns out, because they do get big, and if they get big, then I suppose the wood in the trunk is going to be dense enough that it can stand up. Maybe fairly dense but yet lightweight, possibly. Who knows? Uh, I don't know. I could do a quick search engine here. Let's try catalpa. Nope. Hey, catalpa wood. No, it counts as a hardwood. Let's see. It's not very often seen in lumber form. Let's see. This is from the wood database. If you want to know where I'm looking. All right. So here's what they have to say about it. Oh, they actually have their dried weight and specific gravity. What? Oh, they're serious about their wood here. All right. The end grain is ring porous. Oh yeah, you'd expect it. It's very, very fast growing. So being porous would make sense. I would think that would tend to make it more brittle or easier to break, weaker, but apparently not. Um, you got to pour. You have to fill the pores if you're going to be finishing it, because it has such a porosity to it. So you'd have to use some sort of filler or sealant if you were making furniture. But apparently, yes, it says common use is fence post, utility wood, cabinetry, and carving. All right, so here it says catalpa is somewhat underrated hardwood, not often seen in lumber form. Unlike most other common carving woods, such as butternut or basswood, also basswood, linden, or limewood, catalpa is resistant to decay and is more. This is resistant to decay, kind of the same way that black locust did. Black locust is. It's more suited to outdoor carvings than other domestic species. Additionally, catalpa has superb stability with very low shrinkage rates, although initial drying can be problematic with checking a common problem on unsealed pieces. So there we go. There's a use for everything out there, right? There's a use for everything. And sometimes if it looks like it's a pest or a problem, it might not be a pest or a problem. It might be an opportunity we just didn't realize. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There you go. Yeah. Okay, so when I said catalpa has weak wood, the only reason I'd said that is because I would assume that it is weak because it's so fast growing. If somebody else is working with it and go, well, actually, it's acceptable carving wood and good for outdoor applications because it resists decay. I I guess I'm going to listen to the guy that carves the wood because he knows what he's talking about. I've never used it for that. I've just chopped it, dropped it, and went, oh, okay. Hmm. So yeah, take what you read, take what you hear on the internet with a grain of salt. If somebody's just saying, I think it's bad wood because it's weak, because it grows fast, same as I did, and hasn't done a lot of work with it personally, then but how much that opinion would be worth, huh? I started out today thinking that catalpa was a weak wood. Now I don't know for sure. So there you go. So he says, love making decorative wooden hammers and mallets out of black locust. Hmm. Wood is good, some better than others. The master gardener made no mistakes. Yep. Why does that remind me of the Gorin no Show? Oh, well, because it's in there. The Book of Five Rings. I believe it's the Book of Water. Is it the Book of Water? Uh, where Musashi is talking about constructing an army and comparing uh, soldiers to lumber when everyone is building a house. So that, everything has its purposes. There are the pieces of lumber that are straight and free of imperfections, and those ones are the ones that you use for your doorposts and the lintel above the door, the things that people are going to see, and they have to support weight. Then you have the things that are structurally sound. They're good, sturdy pieces of wood, but they have blemishes and surface imperfections, and they're good for the framework, but you don't want that to be seen. And then you have some pieces that are very, very weak wood, but have wonderful character and are great for surface veneers and things of that nature. And yet there's other wood that you can find that's not very, very sturdy, and also not very, very, very good in character. That's good for making scaffolding out of, perhaps, and then later it can be used for firewood. So you have different grades of wood, and he's trying to say that there are grades of soldier that you're going to encounter whenever you're training and assembling an army that are like the grades of wood. Some of them, they're about good for training the rest of your troops on and then using for shock forces, and that's about it. Not dismal. I wouldn't think of Musashi as being a master carpenter. In any case, black locust, nitrogen fixture, major source of nectar. This is true. They take over about the time the red buds give out. That's a good way of thinking it too. Because nobody wants to walk through a locust thicket. It's thorny. It's thorny. The thorns are sharp. They like to reach out and hit you. You could be walking by and nowhere close to it, and you could just swear the branch somehow managed to just reach out and go brush, and now you've got a cut because the locust got you. But aside from the thorny bits, it's a wonderful tree, and I'd love to have them. I'd love to have more of them. Just not in the middle of my corn patch. I don't want them there. There's places for them. They're all over the place. It's not right there. the cat that bit me the other day is now lurking, waiting his opportunity to try again. I don't have a bandage on. It's been, yeah, it, it has been exactly 1 week, right? Hey, look, no bandage, no bandage, no holes. Yay! I've got it's a little scabby on the top, but there's no infection. Scabs will probably be coming off in another few days. They're actually on the edges. They're starting to dry up, and the skin is starting to cinch in around them. A little bit longer than healing up a wound like that used to take me, but I guess 2 weeks is not bad from cat bite to full heal. Sean says, "Hey, you know what? You could grow briar up the black locust. Probably wouldn't need to." I'm saying black locust is good for bow making. Corns or gout? Cat bite, Billy. Oh, were you weren't watching last week? But we have a guest kitty over here, and last week, like maybe Monday or Tuesday, it was either Monday or Tuesday. I had gone to get duck feed and brought it in and had it set on the porch. I had to take it back and put it into the storage tubs that we put duck feed in. Anyway, I'd left it on the front porch. I hadn't put it up yet, and so night came, got dark out, and I started to hear rustling sounds on the front porch, like sounded like somebody was on the porch. So naturally, I get up to go investigate because I hear strange noises. I don't go hide in a closet. I strap on and go find out what it is. So I go and I crack the door open a nudge, getting ready to have words with whoever. No, I looked out the peep glass first and saw that there was nobody on the porch, so it was obviously a critter. I crack open the door and get ready to deal with the critter that's on the porch, and just right outside the door, just within about this much distance, reach out and touch him distance, is one of the biggest possums I've ever seen, and apparently he wants to try to get into that bag of duck feed. Unbeknownst to me, at the time that I heard the noises and start going to investigate this sound, prepared to fight with whatever it was that was disturbing my peace, 20-pound kitty was also coming to investigate the sound and was ready to fight whatever it was that was disturbing the peace. And he was in full-on fight mode, had seen the possum, and was getting ready to bolt through the door at him. I didn't want cat to meet possum, so I nudged him out of line with my foot to keep him from going through the door at the possum. As I started to close the door, I also didn't want to close the door on the cat. That would hurt the cat. So as I'm closing the door, I'm nudging the cat, and the cat just bites the top of my foot. And I wasn't sure how he got me whenever he first bit me. It's like just a moment of shock. Like, dang it, you bit me, you son of a... I said naughty things. And then I had to deal with the injury. At first I thought he'd come from the side, and it got the side, but it turns out he got the top with all four. I can't angle my foot, see, because maybe I can't. Okay, here we go. We're gonna do something weird. I'm gonna show you what the injury looks like. All right, you guys ready to be grossed out? Here's what the injury looks like. 1 week later, well, a week and 2 days. There we go. I'll angle the camera down. That's it. That's it. You just see the four little fang marks. That's about it. But and the horrible dry skin of my feet. Doesn't that look horrible? But I'm not. I can't be too. I'm a little bit mad at you, because you should know better than to bite people. But I understand he was spoiling for a fight, and Apparently, my foot was going if he couldn't get the possum, he was going to settle for my foot. So he got the top of my foot. Little booger. Yeah, he got me pretty good. But this particular salve, which no, it wasn't the possum, it was the cat. I was trying to save the cat from tangling with the possum. Cat figured he could take on the possum. Possums are tough, buddy. Possums are really tough. I mean, tough. They're hard to kill. Anyway, so I got this stuff, which contains the following. I'm not saying you have to buy this particular brand of salve or anything, but when you're looking for a salve, something to accelerate the healing of your little cuts and bites and scratches and injuries and sucking chest wounds and everything else. If you want something that's going to be able to keep the wound hydrated, this is good. So the flesh can heal properly. You ever notice that whenever you put some preparations on, and it may stop the bacteria, it may prevent infection, but they're kind of greasy, they're oil based or petroleum based, and they don't hydrate the skin. So whenever you have your portion that's healed, you have a certain amount of tissue that you lose because it didn't stay hydrated and the wound didn't completely suture. It grew together and grew fresh new tissue, but the old stuff died off, right? To keep as much of your existing tissue alive as possible, use something that hydrates, and this one uses chickweed to provide the hydration. Completely not a paid plug, but Betadine used to make a moisturizing triple-based antibiotic ointment that worked really good, especially on things like burns. But that you have your antibiotic to prevent the infection, and of course you have hydration to keep your tissue living, and so you don't lose as much. If you don't lose as much, then you heal faster. So aside from hydration, this one also has plantain in it, which is like a super accelerant for wound care. It heals things really fast. Then it has not one, not two, not three, but 4 different herbal antiseptic. In this case, it's using camphor, wintergreen, which is methyl salicylate, eucalyptol, pineal, and lavender. So the combination of things is there to soften up the skin, to keep it hydrated, to eliminate infection, and to draw out foreign bodies and infections. But you don't necessarily, like I said, have to have this particular brand, which you probably can't even see the label properly on anyway. Just look for those sort of things whenever you're shopping around for a wound care salve. At the moment, we're growing most of it ourselves. We've got menthol for one of the antiseptics. We've got thymol out of Monarda for another one. We got the plantain growing. I need to come up with a source for beeswax. I'm not raising bees. I know, right? It's like, why don't you have bees? I'm not ready for the extra work yet. Adding bees, anytime you add more livestock, you are adding more work. I've got ducks. I have to go take care of the ducks every day. It's not a lot of work, but it is something. I've got cats. I got to take care of the cats every day. It's not a lot of work, but it's something. I've got a YouTube channel. I don't do a lot of work on the YouTube channel, admittedly, especially in the winter. I kind of slack off and I'm a little bit lazy during the winter, but it does take some of my time. So I got to do some work on that on a fairly regular basis. Yeah, growing food is work. I mean, of course, you got to work if you want to eat. Heterodox says, looked earlier, no notification. Oh no. I set it up this morning at about 9:30. But wouldn't surprise me. It's YouTube. What do you expect? So anyway, that was recapping off of last week's drama of the cat bite, but it does look looks pretty good. Those scabs are not quite ready to come off, but yeah, give it another week or so, they'll be ready. In any case, it's not infected. It's healing up nicely, and I'm happy. And I've got a lighter on the floor at my feet for some reason. Why is there a? Ooh, it's a functioning lighter at my feet. Kitty, don't be playing with fire. Hmm. A little chilly. I'm going to have to go put another log in the stove here in a minute. Heterodox says cat scratch fever infection is a real thing. I'll tell you what, the bite I got earlier on the back of my leg, but yeah, I was getting a little feverish off of that one. I was. Yep. Because I didn't have this stuff. I had some fairly decent antiseptic herbs, but I didn't have anything to actually properly draw infection out. I think probably if I have my druthers, one of the things I'd like to add to the garden, and if I can do it, I probably will, is a proper acacia tree, uh, just for the astringent properties. It'd be one of the things that our medicinal library is not full of. The thing that I use for treating the cat bite, and incidentally, this is what got rid of the infection from the last time I got bit. Just raw bacon. What? Really? Are you kidding me? Um, the thing I used was this stuff. It's a draw salve containing the following: olive oil, beeswax, chickweed, comfrey, plantain, oil of camphor, wintergreen oil, eucalyptus oil, pine oil, and lavender oil, which is all really good stuff. I mean, it doesn't really matter who made it, as long as it's got things of this nature in it. Something to hydrate, that's the chickweed. Something to accelerate healing, that's the some people say comfrey, but plantain does a really good job of it too. So if the comfrey doesn't work, the plantain will, and I guess the plantain doesn't work, the comfrey will. And then let's see, how many is that? Lavender, eucalyptus, pine, wintergreen, and camphor. I'm thinking the lavender there is actually for softening the skin, not for its antiseptic properties. So anyway, sounds sure I still cook that bacon and enjoy it after use. So you can't waste good bacon. But yeah, plantain and yarrow are both good for wound care. They're excellent for wound care, and we have both of them growing in abundance now. The plantain is really starting to take off. Where I gathered the seeds from it. The plants that Mary brought, she had been traveling around, and whenever she finds something that she knows I'm looking for, she'll bring some home. And she brought home some mint that's good. She brought home some more yarrow, different types of yarrow, other than the ones that I collected. And then she brought plantain, and she brought plantain from several different places. And I examined it. We have some of the good old fashioned European variety, which is nice. Big broadleaf plantain, Plantago majores. And then we have some that has a little bit of a reddish tint to it, which is a North American native variety of broadleaf plantain. So we have both of those, and they're both growing. But after they went to seed, I went ahead and grabbed the seeds and I sprinkled them liberally all around the hedgerow area. So in amongst the hedgerow, we have, and they are growing even right now into the winter, plantain and some other wonderful things. I think I did a little inventory. There's plantain growing. There's some violet growing. Lots of clovers. There's, oddly enough, I didn't know they were going to grow this late, but we've got alfalfa growing as well. And then, of course, we've got the chickweed, which is still growing. Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, we have chickweed growing wild. I didn't plant it; it just grows here. And then we've got lots and lots and lots of purple dead nettle and henbit dead nettle as well. But mostly right now, this time of year, it's mostly the purple dead nettle that's leaf down. And John's taking off and leaving us. Good night, John. Later. I'm getting ready to go to bed myself. Let's see. Billy's saying we end the supply of ramen and white rice to get us through the winter. Butternut squash and pumpkin all adds to it. Enjoying any eggs we get. Yeah, you got something for your starch. You got plenty of fresh greens, and if you got your butternut squash or sweet potatoes, you got lots of vitamins and minerals there. It'll get you through. It'll get you through. haven't seen this fellow on in a while, but uh, out there on the West Coast, we've got Stone Date Farmer that apparently has managed to get through on pretty much that for a diet. He's growing achira, or what I typically would call canna for a starch crop, and he's eating that too. Vicky is saying I've heard. I think the plantain is called white man's footprint. That is one of the that yeah, that's another common name for it because it goes everywhere the white man goes. But North America does actually have actually several native forms of plantain. There's probably about 50 different forms of plantain, or more even, that you can find growing, and many of them are native. Uh, have a look around. You might find some. I don't know. Joey Satora may have done an entire show on the different types of plantain, or I know he's at least mentioned them a few times. If you guys like to watch Crime Pays but Botany doesn't, um, keep the small ones out of the room. He cusses a lot. He says we have 4 totes of canned goods. That's good. That's good. We got lots of canned goods. Back in the good old days, whenever we started prepping, we bought lots of canned goods and did some experimentation. We found out what stuff keeps in cans pretty good and what stuff not so great. We're getting ready to throw out a whole bunch of tamales. Too much acid in the can. It eats through the lining and then destroys the can, destroys the seal, and the food goes bad. Most stuff canned, if as long as it's not too high in acidity, it's good. As long as it stays in the can, the can stays intact. You can have canned food last for ages and ages. There's a steamship that wrecked on the Missouri back in the 1800s that they dug up after over 100 years, and they looked at all the stuff that came up with it, and lo and behold, the canned peaches were still good. So there you go. But not everything is that way. Not everything. Stuff that's high in acidity, like I said, it destroys the cans, and that the food goes bad. Canned milk, the condensed canned milk doesn't keep very well. It settles, and the milk solids turn into a brick at the bottom of the can, and then you can't get them out. But yeah, if you've got to have high acid foods that you want to store, keep them in glass jars. Seems to do better. Just try to avoid getting any of the contents on the lid if you're sealing with a glass jar with a metal lid and seal. Don't get any on the lid. Billy says it's a 2-year supply. They empty a tote and refill it with any sales they come across. That's smart. That's smart. Stay ahead of it. Yeah. Whenever you're caught up and you've got your pantry stocked, you can afford to not have to buy stuff when it's too expensive, right? If you can afford to buy in bulk, even better. But not everything you can keep. I tried saving pineapple. Yep, that was a mistake. It did not last long at all. Actually, it did not last as long as the canned tomato sauce lasted. So, pineapple is another good example of things not to try keeping in cans for extended periods of time. Maybe in glass, but definitely not in metal. It made a huge mess. I had this was a dozen cans in a cardboard box. Yeah, how they present them at the grocery store, where they cut the front of the box off, and so you've got this great little tray full of cans, and you want to buy all of them and put them on the shelf. And it would be nice if the rest of the box was there, so you can just. But you have to hold them so they don't slide out. Yeah. Canned tomatoes and pineapple would go great on green briar shoot pizza for a callback. Oh, yeah. Maybe not. But I like pineapple, but I didn't like the mess that it made. Oh my gosh, it was horrible. Dry beans and split peas and corn fill up half of the tote, so you always have crock pot material. There you go. That's a good question. Does the bromelain survive the canning? So bromelain is the enzyme that's found in pineapple. Papain is an enzyme found in papaya. Bromelain is found in pineapple, and those are enzymes that are called protease enzymes. They digest proteins. So you make a dish with say your tougher bits of pork, and you mix in lots of pineapple or papaya in there, and you stew it a bit and you let it sit for a while, and all of a sudden your tough meat gets tender because there's a meat tenderizer in the food. One of the reasons why sweet and sour pork is so good. It's because you can get away with taking. Well, it also depends upon your recipe. Some people like to braise the pork and then add it in, and then some people like to cook the pork down in with everything else. It really all depends. Sasparrow stone is told the most broma is located at the edge of the rind and the fruit. So chances are your canned pineapple will not have as much in it simply because of the way it was prepared to begin with. That's interesting. Heterodox saying, are you talking about a 270-gallon tote? Oh, yeah, they come in different sizes, don't they? It's like, oh, no, 40-gallon plastic totes. Those are still pretty big. I think we got some that are like around 50. Great big old. Oh, no. The ones I'm using for worm bins, they're closer to 40, I think. Yeah. 35, 36. I'll have to go look at them. But, some of them still have a label on them. I should be able to read the label. But they're not huge. Commonly sold at Walmart and box stores like Lowe's and Home Depot. I mean, Lowe's has got all kinds of totes. Yeah. I've seen them. I mean, I wasn't walking down the aisle where they have them for sale, but we walked close enough that I could see a long aisle with totes of all different sizes stacked from the floor to the rafters on both sides of this long aisle. Like you couldn't see the end of the aisle because of the curvature of the earth. All kinds of totes. Heterodox store stuff in 5-gallon food grade buckets with special lids. I've got some 5-gallon buckets. No special lids though. This is where I put my old spaghetti. It just really needs something to keep the critters out of it. And 5-gallon buckets are easier to move. The only problem with 5-gallon buckets is whenever you have stacks and stacks and stacks of them, and it's not all the same thing, and you're looking at them from the outside, and you realize, oh, I put a label on the lid that tells me what's in this bucket. So in order to find out what's in this bucket, I have to take it off the stack or, remove stacks of buckets and put them to the side. And like, okay, where did I put that taco rice? moving the buckets. The taco rice is no good anyway. I found this out not too long ago. I got taco rice to go with the tamales. All right. So I got cans of tamales, I got cans of corn, I got cans of beans. Boom, boom, boom. Can corn, beans, tamales, taco rice. See where we're going here, right? Put the taco rice in the 5-gallon bucket. Put the little hand warmer in there to heat up the oxygen. Poof, seal it up and let it go. But that's fine for a while. But then whenever you break into that and you break the seal, then eventually the stuff starts to oxidize and things start to go bad. After about 5 or 6 years in a 5-gallon plastic tote, the taco rice starts to taste a bit off. Just a bit. Now, if you kept regular rice and you had taco seasoning and you mixed the two together, then probably you'd be okay. But it's just the other things that went into the taco seasoning. I think there's a certain amount of fat that was in it, and the fats started to turn, if you know what I mean. Yeah. And that's not very tasty. Otherwise, it'd probably keep just fine. but more, like I said, more and more, I'm starting to move away from long term storage foods and trying to get more stuff that's growing and producing. Because if I have a choice between food that's freeze dried and will last for 30 years, clunk, clunk, or food that I went out and I picked fresh today, I think I want food that I went out and I picked fresh today. And if I can have a good supply of food that I picked or harvested fresh today, and I can rely upon that, I think I'd rather go that route than have to rely upon lots and lots and lots of over preserved or just preserved food in general. You guys, green coffee beans, roast weekly, grind daily. And Billy's using pre-ground coffee because got a neighbor that grinds the fresh. Shoot. Mm-mm-mm. Hey, Elton's back. Warming up Christmas leftovers. Yum, yum. I don't have any Christmas leftovers. Press down. I need some Yop on High for the caffeine fix. Or somebody, people need. I've been trying to try off and on, working at it, and not consistently. So it's probably not getting anywhere. But I've been trying to wean myself off caffeine. My cup is now empty. It's been empty for a little while. I haven't really felt the shakes. I'll bet it does smell like heaven whenever it's roasting. Roasting coffee smells great. Saspress said, just out of zone for growing opal. That's unfortunate. But all the attempts I've made so far to grow caffeine have met with limited success. I grew Cannabis sinensis for half a season before it all died on me. Oh, it's about a dozen plants I got planted and then poof died. Yopon holly, I got a couple of them, and I made the mistake of getting them and transplanting them in the winter because they're an evergreen. So ordinarily, you want to take your trees and plant them during their dormant cycle. So fall and winter is a great time to plant trees. But Yopon holly is an evergreen, and evergreens a little bit different. Don't plant them in the winter. Plant them, say, early in the spring. Like right at that point where we're coming out of dormancy. That's a great time to plant them because now they can start growing. Now they have the same the what am I saying here? The conditions that are good for allowing them to grow, because if you plant them in the middle of the winter, they're not dormant. They're just traumatized. So if you're going to traumatize them, at least give them the opportunity to bounce back from it. So evergreens plant early in the spring instead of in the fall, and you should be okay. But I planted these in the middle of the winter, and they struggled for a while, and then finally died off. I think the water line going through in the front yard finally killed them off. But anyway, yeah, Yopon holly are the same family as yerba mate. They have lots and lots and lots of caffeine in them. The indigenous folks of the Americas in the East, and also here, oddly enough, in Oklahoma back in the day, would drink Yopon holly tea, and it was done for a couple of different reasons, including vision questing and communicating with the spirits. Because if you consume enough of it, it will make you violently ill, and you'll have a religious experience. If, of course, you have your mind set to experience that sort of thing. So it was used ethnobotanically as well as for its containing of caffeine. So don't do what the natives did, and don't consume the berries. But the leaves, if you pick the leaves and you wilt them, or some people will even go so far as to lightly roast them to get them a little bit blackened, and then you make tea out of it. It makes a good high caffeine substitute for coffee. Jasper says, I've drank enough coffee to have an out of body experience. Yeah, it's possible. Overdose of caffeine can make you see things. Maybe. Who knows? Who knows? But I've given up on it. I don't really have enough space to supply a caffeine habit and produce food at the same time. Even a little bit more room, I could work the caffeine in, but if I'm going for enough food on a third of an acre to feed four people, then I don't have the space for caffeine. At least not enough to give a person a year's supply of caffeine. Maybe a cup or two on special occasions, possibly, but not the full replacement. Oh, it says the old lady's side of the family, authentic Mexican Christmas food coma. Oh, oh, oh. We didn't really do much of anything for Christmas. Not this year, anyway. The kids were out. I got a call from my daughter. She sent me a package with Lebanon bologna in it. Oh, she loves me. She's up in Pennsylvania. She's taking care of her grandpa right now. And of course, they have this wonderful lunch meat there. This named after a little town called Lebanon in Pennsylvania, where they made it. It's basically a summer sausage where they smoke the meat before they grind it. So the typical summer sausage, you get your mixture of the pork and the beef and everything. You mix it together with your seasoning, you grind it up, mix the seasoning in, and you put it into the casing, and then cook it. And that's how you get your typical summer sausages. A blend of meats with seasonings in a casing cooked. And then they smoke it. The smoking process takes place after the cooking. In the case of the Lebanon bologna, they do a full smoking of the meat prior to the making of the sausage, so the smoke flavor is worked in completely to the sausage. It's not sausage that's been smoked. It's meat that's been smoked that's been made into sausage, and the difference is divine. So hopefully we got the good stuff. It comes in different grades and qualities. There are some people that make Lebanon Milano that do a really good job of it, and there are some people that make Lebanon Milano that kind of missed the mark a little bit. And hopefully she got some for somebody that did it right. They smoked the meat, then they ground it, then they made the sausage, and we'll see how it works out. But anyway. Sasspress talking about caffeine, enough to see the sounds and taste the earth spin. The drum circles raging until they got to the main fire. There's no drummers. That's I don't know. I drink too much coffee like that. I feel ill. Of course, that's the symptom. I mean, the reason why the name for Yopan holly is Ilex vomitorium is because whenever it was being used, ethnobotanically speaking, they would consume enough that it would make them ill. And at that point, yeah, you're probably seeing things. Never had that much caffeine. Don't want to have that much caffeine. I've had enough that I started to feel ill, but not to the point where I saw anything. Anyway. He's in central Illinois, south of Springfield. Why does every place have a Springfield? Every place has a place. Every state has a Springfield, it seems like. Where is Springfield, Illinois? I remember where Chicago is. I can't remember Springfield vaguely. Oh, no. Did I pass through Springfield? I might have. It's been a while since I've been up there. What's he say? Smack dab in the middle. Okay. All right. So probably at the time we were passing through Springfield, I was running around trying to figure out where all the guys in my command had run off to on the train. I was responsible for getting them all the way from St. Louis to help me out here to Chicago. My first command, straight out of MEPS. I don't know why they put me in charge, but they did. Anyway, enough of that. I don't recommend coming here unless you need to see me. There you go. Gets a little bit colder than I like up there. Just a little bit. I mean, don't get me wrong, it gets cold down here too, but it doesn't stay cold that long. It doesn't stay cold that long. And up there around the Great Lakes, whenever winter gets there properly, you have winter that lasts a little time. You know, it gets cold and then it stays cold. Here it gets cold, but then it'll warm back up. You know, so one day it's 40 below, the next day it's 80. I like that. It gets cold enough where you go, oh yeah, we got winter, and then it's over, and we can go back with our lives. Oh, reasons not to go to Illinois. Not enough trees, no hills, and then there's the politicians. Those are all good reasons to not go to Illinois. Yeah. What? Billy says across the river they sell fresh fried river caught channel catfish. You need to flip myself across the river and get some. Well, if you can get to the river, why can't you get your own catfish? Or is it because they got all the oil and the breading and everything? I mean, best eats in the city. They kick them right out of the river, huh? Yeah. A little bit leery about taking them out of the river over here. There's some old industrial areas fairly nearby. Don't know for certain that the fish are safe. They might be. Then again, they might not. They're not active industrial areas. They're I guess back there in the 40s or so. They were doing some moderate, I guess, industrial work in this area all along the river. So there's a possibility there may be some little waste there. But the tributaries are fine. If you get some catfish in the tributaries, they're probably edible. So Billy's saying oiled and breaded and don't have to cook. That's the attraction. Okay, the don't have to cook. I love fried fish, I really do. But what am I going to do with all the oil after I fry it? That's kind of a problem. So lately, whenever I've cooked fish, I've pan fried them, and they've been okay pan fried. But doing the proper, getting them all the way breaded and into the deep fat fryer, proper fried fish, fried catfish. I haven't had that in a while. He says, I grew up in Minnesota. I know winter. That's why I retired south. And he got off the plains too. Most importantly, you got off the plains. It gets cold. Well, we got a little ways to go until February. Today is the 27th of December. So I got about 1 month. 1 month to enjoy this relatively warm weather before we get our cold stuff. But you see that little picture behind me, right? Oh, you see those things popping up there? Little crocuses in the snow. Right now they're not in bloom. Right now we just have the greenery coming up. But I'm beginning to wonder, maybe crocuses are another one of those things that you can grow to keep things green on into the cold months, because they're staying green. We have a lot of the daylilies that they're kind of staying green this time of year too. In any case, guys, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night because it's like, what time is it? 10 o'clock? Oh, gosh. I've been here for an hour and a half. So our challenge coming up this next year, start thinking about it. Get out there now. Well, not now because it's dark outside, but tomorrow would be good. If it's not snowing, if it's not raining, if it's not sleet coming down, if you can manage to make it outside, walk around a bit and have a look in the area near where you live. Look for green things. Look for the plants that are not evergreen, but are yet still able to survive on into the winter. And where you can, make a note of those. Make a note of the things that also might want to grow into the winter where you live. And as you approach fall this coming year, begin planting those sorts of things to grow into the winter. And I'd like for you guys to make an observation whenever you do this. Make an observation about the other things that are growing here that ordinarily would be going dormant as you enter into winter. And just maybe keep a journal, make observations, make a note of when they go dormant compared to whenever they would ordinarily go dormant. And you could even do trials. Like, it's too late for me to do trials because I did everything this way. But if you did trials, compare the same plant growing in a place where you don't have anything else covering the ground. No living ground cover. Compare the same plants growing in places with living ground cover and without living ground cover in your area. You may be surprised to discover that some things are staying green longer into the winter than they ordinarily would. And the big difference is keeping that soil microbiome going. But anyway, that's all I've got for you tonight, good people. I hope you found today's video informative or entertaining. And if you did, you know what to do. I will catch you next time. But until then, get out there and get growing. Wait, somebody just showed up. You showed up right at the end, Twisted Sushi. Just right at the very end. I'm so sorry. We're calling it a night. Anyway, as Aspera says, be safe out there. Be the light. Plant good seeds. Don't forget, new seed catalogs are coming out. Yeah. All kinds of good seed catalogs coming out. Stuff to blow your entire paycheck on. And of course, come visit us at www.greencountryagroforestry.com. We have seeds for sale as well. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and take off. By golly. Somebody was asking me if I've been celebrating any holidays like the winter solstice. No, not really. I observe it. It's here. And now we're getting warmer. That's about it. As far as the holy days, I figured the Creator made 365 of them, and I'm not going to favor one of them above the others. So that's it. Anyway, good night, everybody, and I will catch you next time.